When Colby and I first separated, it was in 1997, and we were on tour. Gosh, I can't do the math, but it was a long time ago. Over 25 years ago. And it was an incredible time in our lives. Savage Garden, strangely, miraculously, at that time, were one of the biggest bands in the world, and thanks to you. You know, and I'd come from the suburbs of Brisbane, from a very you know, working class family, and suddenly we were traveling all over the world, and we could afford to pay for stuff, and it seemed on the outside that I should be incredibly happy, and I was very grateful, don't get me wrong, and I'm still so grateful for what you did for me and how you changed my life. But I think a lot of you know now that back then, I was really struggling, because although Colby and I loved each other as much as two people possibly could, we couldn't love each other enough to get over the fact that I was a gay man. And for about a year in the public eye, I really struggled with that. I really didn't want to be gay, which sounds like such a terrible thing to say, because I've been married for 17 years now to my husband. We live in such different times now, but back then, it just seemed like not only was my whole world going to end, but I was going to destroy somebody else's. And I remember, you know, we fought really hard, and I was so lucky that I'd married someone so kind and so understanding, and someone who really eventually just let me go, you know, loved me enough to let me go. And I remember we were backstage in Tasmania, and we had an advance copy of this Madonna record, one of the perks of being a celebrity. And it was called Ray of Light. Yeah, it's a great record. And there was a song on there called The Power of Goodbye. And it was the first time she and I had ever heard this song, and we were listening to the words. There's nothing left to try. There are no more places to hide. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. And we burst into tears, and she looked at me and she said, "You have to go." And I said, "I know." And that's what happened. I moved to New York. And that part was amazing, because I got my first boyfriend, and he was pretty hot. He was a court officer, like a cop. So yeah, that bit was good. And he also was really kind. So my first relationship with a man was amazing. And after about a year, I came home, and Colby had moved on with her life. And I stayed with her for about a week, and just before I left, she had a suitcase like this that she had packed up some of my things that I'd left behind. And she said, "Hey, before you leave, there's some of your stuff that you might want. I packed it up for you." So I went down to the basement and I opened it up, and I wasn't prepared for what happened next, because this old life came flooding out of the suitcase. It was my old perfume. I didn't wear it anymore. It was like a ghost. It came up like a phantom, and it sort of knocked me backwards. The clothing inside it was a different person. I was a different person now. And I realized that in my emancipation, in this incredible act of kindness that this beautiful woman had given me, where I'd gone off and reinvented myself, I didn't mean to, but I guess this was something I'd done. I'd left her to essentially pack up me, pack up us, pack up our whole life by herself. And in retrospect, it was probably one of the cruelest things I'd ever done.